happening, TwT fans? It is so good to be back on this December 12th, 2024. And again, I am so glad to see so many of you coming back for more. Before I get into anything today, let me start off the way I always do by saying thank you. Thank you to all of my subscribers. If you're new, remember to subscribe. And if you want to get your opportunity to be a guest or tell your story, talkinwithtopher@gmail.com. It's the official email of the podcast. And then don't forget about the link tree. It's where you find everything TwT. It's just that easy. And don't forget to click, share, and subscribe. All right, with all that out of the way, let's get into today's podcast. And how is everybody doing out there? How is everybody doing? Well, it is December. It is the middle of December right now. This is crazy. Time is flying. Today, we decided to start decorating, and I'm excited for it. Get the Christmas tree up, set up the decorations, and try to have some holiday cheer. It's been a rough 2024, and let's just say it's taken a little bit for me to get used to this new position I'm in, kind of starting all over again, learning the ropes, being the low guy on the totem pole, the whole nine. It's very frustrating. I just did it, 2 years ago, and here we are again, right? But at the end of the day, it's not the worst case scenario. At least now I have work, and it's definitely going to do much better than unemployment would have ever done. That would have done nothing. I can't believe they're still stuck in 2007 for their basis, which is absolutely ridiculous and unacceptable. It is 2024, and unemployment should represent 2024, not 2007. So to find that information out really upset me. So, it could be worse. I could have had to have used it, and luckily I didn't. So now I just need to figure out how this is all going to work out. See how well I can do this. I'm not too worried about it. I'll talk more about it another time, but keeping myself busy like this has made it easier for me to forget about my addictions in a sense, because I'm way too stressed out to worry about drinking, because I've got way too many other heavy thoughts on my mind about things that could go wrong right now. What could happen here? What could happen there? So for me, this holiday season is not that difficult. It's really not. I don't even see a point of ever going back to drinking at this point. Like, I just don't. I've been thinking about it and going over it, and I'm just like, you know what? It's not really for me anymore. And that's an amazing feeling to have. I don't know if it's going to last, but right now it's what I feel, and I figure if I just stick with that, I'm in a good place anyways. But yeah, not too much thinking about it during the holidays, but I know a lot of people usually do. And this time of the year, man, it can be difficult. It can be difficult. And a lot of the tools that I use is just try to tune it out, find something else to do. If you're not staying away from everything, do the one thing that you're allowing yourself to do, or that you can do, and do that instead. When you get urges, supplement with that, or find something else to take your thoughts off of that. And sometimes you have to separate yourself from the people that you're with to do those things. Don't be afraid to do that either. Don't be afraid to tell everybody you need to take a minute. You have to speak up for yourself. You have to let people know where you are. And if you're if you're on this travel and this is what you're working towards, everybody around you would or should be understanding of it. The only people, that wouldn't be are the people that you should have cleaned out of the closet anyways. So that's a good sign right there. Whether or not those people are good for you is if you're struggling or you need something or you're having troubles, whatever, and you need to take a break and they're not accepting of that, or they come up with, oh, well, no, everybody that I've ever said that to has been very accepting of it. And they're like, yeah, I completely get it, and you just excuse yourself. You take a few, you do what you need to do, and, you collect your thoughts and go back to it. But don't be afraid to stand up for yourself, and you don't have to get angry about it or upset or anything. You just explain yourself. You say, simply kindly say, this is what I'm doing. This is how this is what I need right now. And I'm just letting you know. And most people don't have a problem with that. Most people don't have a problem with that because they understand that you're working towards something. And a lot of the people that I still have in my life, they were people that completely understood and wanted to see it happen. So there was never an issue with that. So this time of year, always lean on people if you need it, because sometimes it's a difficult time for a lot of people, for different reasons. But again, I'm doing this one really, really late at night, and I think that helping people is so important. And I do believe I said that I could become a drug and alcohol counselor on one of these episodes. And this is something that really, really I enjoy, is when I listen to myself and then I find out that I'm absolutely wrong. I have no problem coming back on here and letting you know there's no way I could become a drug and alcohol counselor in a couple weeks. You all probably already knew that. I did not. And yeah, so you have to go to school for I think it's 4 years just to get a bachelor's in it. And then you could start, but they really want people with a master's. So I think that's 6 years of school. I think. I could be completely wrong. I don't know. I read a little bit into it. It said more than 2 weeks, and I was like, oh, yeah, I don't have time for that. I can't fit that in between work and all the rest of the things that I do, plus life and podcasts. So I'm like, I got to pick and choose right now. So I pick my job, podcasting, and my life. And I think it's a good balance. This position that I'm in actually has a regular schedule, so it's not too much of all over the place. The only unfortunate part of all of it is the jiu-jitsu. That's the part that's killing me right now. Right now, there's no time for it, and it really, really is tough because that's one of my biggest staples. So dealing with my addiction, I have to utilize everything that I've put in place. And one of the things that I put in place to help me deal with my aggression and to deal with everyday life, because I need something to show me that what I'm dealing with in front of me is not as difficult as something else. And that something else has always been jiu-jitsu. And it's only been a week at this moment that I haven't been, but I can see more weeks adding up. Every time I do training, it's at least 3 to 4 weeks before things level off and I can go back to doing what I was doing. So luckily, I've been doing it for so long. I have acquired a sense of what is hard and what is just an obstacle in the way or something I have to mentally get through to complete. And because of that, it is a little bit easier to deal with my addiction because I don't allow anything to really take over because I've utilized jiu-jitsu for so long that my mindset is right there. But that's something that you could also do for yourself, is to do something that is more difficult than dealing with your addiction, than dealing with everyday life, than dealing with work. You could get into something that actually puts you in a position of, well, with jujitsu, when you're tapping, you're either at the point of someone breaking your arm, your leg, choking you unconscious. So basically, you're saying you got me. You know what I mean? And that is, at the end of the day, probably the most stressful thing we could all go through is getting into something like that. And when I can get over something like that in class, I know that learning a new POS system is not the most difficult thing in the world. I know that even though things are going to get a little tight around here, it's not the end of the world, right? Because it's not that. And I think when we push ourselves to an extreme point and get to a position of understanding what real difficulty is in our lives, it opens up this door that I guess I thought was always closed, because it showed me that everything is manageable. It's just, is it stressful? Is it a pain in the ass? Do you lose your mind a little bit? Yeah, of course, all those things do happen, but at the end of the day, it's still not the most difficult thing I did, you know? So I think of things a little bit differently today, and I hope that helps anybody out there that's dealing with any type of addiction or difficulty dealing with their addiction during the holidays. But angels and demons, flat earth, aliens, they're all intertwined, shapeshifters, lizards, and we're going to get into some Topher's theories. All right, so what I got here for you all today is we're going to do some deep dives into some stuff. I got this general here that's talking about the Twin Towers, and I find this to be extremely interesting because we are finding out more and more about this. And, you know, I hate to say it, but it all seems like the government covers up a lot.
And the impact of a jet. From what I understand, the outer skeleton of the building, the outer columns was like a fishnet, and you had these inner core columns, which were substantial, thick steel beams to withstand 4 or 5 times what the loads were. The engineers always over-design a building. No steel frame building has ever collapsed before or since 9/11. So that should say something right there. And it said that Building 7, it was a progressive collapse, that it was caused by fire. But progressive collapse, unlike the Twin Towers collapse from the top down. That's a progressive collapse, floor by floor by floor. But if you look at the videos of Building 7 collapsing, it collapses uniformly. It's collapsing from the bottom. The building stays intact all the way to the bottom of the ground, and you could see the sides caving in on it. For a building to collapse uniformly, which the videos show, all the load-bearing columns would have had to have failed simultaneously. Now, fire doesn't act like that. I came across an analogy of the Twin Towers, and if you could visualize cast iron stoves, stacked one on top of each other. The stoves up at the top, yes, there's fire and they've been damaged, but the stoves on the bottom, they haven't been damaged. So the structure underneath all of that is intact. So it's impossible for a building to collapse near free fall speed and increase
without a controlled demolition.
You're running into the path of most resistance. So something else is going on. I don't believe that it was just the planes or the fires. I think that, and they examined the dust and they found what they call thermitic material, which is like an explosive incendiary, which was in the dust samples, and that's documented. There were reports of the buildings were undergoing an extensive elevator renovation in the 2 or 3 years prior to. All kinds of workers, they had access to the cores of the building. And on the day of the attack, the elevator company would not assist in the operations of the elevators. And the elevator company it subsequently went out of business. And a couple of years after that, the information is out there. At one time when I was heavily engaged in trying to get a new investigation, I definitely felt threatened. I felt threatened for my family, and it wasn't a pleasant experience. You have sworn testimonies from firefighters regarding explosions in the building. They were suppressed. Just somebody making a statement, especially from firemen and police, if they make a statement, I heard an explosion, that's grounds to initiate an investigation. The firefighters, a bomb went off. This is their own words, made that day. They just ignored it. Just like Building 7 was.
So crazy, everybody. So crazy. I mean, we've been talking about Tower 7 for a long, long time, and it is just the same story over and over. A controlled demolition. No way for the towers to collapse the way they did. When you picture them as iron stoves, it makes a lot more sense why they should not have collapsed the way they did. And I mean, the towers were, hit once before. This was something that could have been done by somebody else, but they had already been hit once. So maybe, who knows? Is it possible that they just took advantage of what had already started and then finished it themselves so that they could get rid of the documents and everything else that was in the Pentagon, Tower 7, and all the information inside of those towers? I mean, there is so many things that line up. Yes, it is all theoretical or hypothetical, but the lines are there and they connect. So why are we not allowed to talk or question it, right? I keep bringing up playing with the weather and all these things. This is so crazy. This is Saudi Arabia, Mecca. I'm not sure where this is exactly. Maybe it is called Mecca in Saudi Arabia. But they are having some crazy weather. And I don't know how old this is, but it is very wild to see. This is so crazy to see, though. Look at the weather. Man, this is nuts. The lightning, the winds. Now, all the sound effects that I heard on this video were very, very fake sounding. So I don't think the weather is fake sounding. But, I mean, there was people laughing during that part of it. There's like gunfire going off on this one. I don't see anybody shooting a gun. I just see a bunch of people getting blown around. It looks like there's a giant ice skating rink. And then these are stairs. And on either side of the stairs are like giant things that you would put pots of plants and stuff like that on, and a bunch of water. That was a giant sign that blew off on a highway. Man, I would not want to be the person driving on that road. This is just parts of a building coming down, blowing all over the place. Another sign crashing into an apartment building. You're going to tell me that none of this is from manipulating or attempting to change the weather themselves? It doesn't seem plausible, right? If you manipulate things, you change things, you do things to things, over time, those changes and what you do to it cause things to go out of control. But man, you keep manipulating the weather like this, and it's bound to bite you in the ass. Now, speaking of the weather, check this out. This is crazy, everybody. So this is Antarctica 2024. This is what would happen if one of the giant ice things were to flip. It's showing the changes in the weather, the heat, the polar bears starving to death. This is an ice canyon underneath the water, showing you the depth of water is getting deeper. And this is the giant ice glacier that is broken away from land and now is floating and slowly melting. So could this, really fill us up? And it's basically just destruction everywhere, because if it melts, if it really does melt, if it really does do what they're expecting, the chances of more water and our levels rising and land being eaten up by it do go up. They do go up. But I will tell you this much again. I still believe that this is way better than global cooling. I think global cooling is definitely the worst. I don't want to drown. I don't want anybody to drown. But for some reason, we all flock to water. And unfortunately, I think because of that, there's no escaping this. As water rises and it takes away our land, the land, look at how we build airports and stuff on patches of water. Like, we build all kinds of things on water, around water, near water. So do we ever intend for the water levels to rise? Do we intend for flooding to happen? Most cases, no, we don't. Look at all the places that have been hit with hurricanes and the rising waters and the seas crashing on the walls. And after that, they're there building bigger walls and putting up rip currents or current breaks or something. There's things that they put in the water, so when the water is coming, it like breaks up the water so it doesn't hit the way it should. So they have to redesign everything that they've had to make it more resilient to the water that's hitting the wall, because what they had before was sufficient for the way the water was acting before and the storms were, but everything's getting stronger. The water is increasing. So it's more difficult to keep it out, to keep it from flooding areas. And so just maybe, if we stop manipulating and making clouds and making it rain and seeding things and doing all of these things that we've been doing for decades, maybe we wouldn't be in the position that we're in. But we're in the position we're in because man decided to fuck around with nature, and now nature is letting us know we shouldn't have fucked around with it. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Next one. A police detective from Europe says a fake alien invasion is the final trick to cabal. No, is the final trick the cabal will pull if all else fails. So this is Project Bluebeam, everybody. And I do think something is afoot. I don't know what. I don't know when. Supposedly, December 3rd, something was supposed to happen too. And I don't know if it did happen or not, but we'll find out in like 2 days from this recording, of course. But this one here, this gentleman is got a few words to say, and I want to hear them out.
I just talked with a police detective in the Netherlands. He's the founder of Police for Freedom and a foremost freedom fighter in Europe. He explained to me that he's convinced that the next major move of the cabal, the deep state, the Illuminati, the elites, whatever they're called, will be a fake alien invasion. He says that they have already the vaccines ready to inject people to protect them from the unknown viruses that the aliens will have. And he says that there are plans for lockdowns, major worldwide lockdowns, because if we're being invaded by aliens, he says the narrative will be nobody knows what dangerous diseases they are carrying, and so everybody will be need to locked down to protect everyone. He says that it's going to be their last straw. If that fails, they have nothing anymore. This is very encouraging. We've agreed to work together to expose this to humanity. We all know about Project Bluebeam, where they can project.
Now, Project Bluebeam was never proven. There was something else I listened to. There was something before Project Bluebeam, and I think it was on Anonymous podcast, but they were talking about this other project that sounded exactly like Project Bluebeam, but Project Bluebeam was a little bit more extreme, and I don't have the details off the top of my head right now, but they are a little bit different. But there was something about Bluebeam that was not proven, or it was never recognized by this group. So Project Bluebeam is even more of a theory than the Project Bluebeam branched off of, if that makes any sense to anybody out there, which I thought was very interesting.
Anything in the sky. They can just fool you with anything. They can make all kinds of effects, and people will think it's real. So I'm putting this quickly out there after this conversation to encourage you guys to be aware of this, okay? There's some very heavy messaging going on also here on X, about extraterrestrial life, about Mars, about UFOs, about aliens. All of a sudden, Congress has decided to expose, to reveal. All of a sudden, they're supposedly honest about this, we have to tell the people that yes, aliens are real, for real, So one of the things that this police detective and I have in common is that we are both utterly blown away. We are shocked to see that so many people who claim to be awake, who claim to be intelligent, that they are already falling for this. I mean, in the awakened and the freedom movement, you see already that a very large percentage is on their hind legs, very excited. They can't wait until the aliens are coming. And, this shows how we are not awake, how hundreds of millions of people worldwide who claim to be awake are insanely brainwashed. We have been programmed by the perpetual flow of Hollywood movies, the predictive programming. We've all been hoodwinked already. Our mind has been prepared for this. We've all seen the films about, the aliens, and we have no idea how we have already been brainwashed to go along with this.
They've been talking about this for a long time. A way to get us to all work together, and a way for them to protect us from ourselves is, if we have an alien invasion, they're gonna try and protect us from the aliens. So we're gonna need to do what they say in order for them to take care of the issue at hand. it just keeps bringing me back to the same thing over and over again. It doesn't matter what tactic they use. At the end of the day, what they want is full control. They want control over our money, they want control over our lives, and they want control over what we do, what we say, and who we are. And when they get that, it's not going to be just America. It's going to be everywhere. I don't think a lot of this stuff is going to happen now. I do believe a lot of this stuff is going to get exposed now, but time will tell. You know, I've had hope before, and that has been extinguished over and over again. So even though I believe things will change, I don't think as much is going to change as what I was hoping, you know. But it does seem like we're going to start going in some really good directions, and the food industry being attacked for what it's doing to us is probably one of the most exciting things ever anyways, because they need to be put into their place. Pharmaceuticals need to stop advertising. And, you know, if you can't sell your product in a different country without changing the ingredients so it's not poison anymore, then you shouldn't be allowed to sell it in America as poison in the first place. And I do believe it was RFK that said, if this was being done to another country without anybody knowing, it would be considered an act of war for poisoning so many people. So if you think about it like that, it's crazy to even think that we can allow them to do what they're doing and what they've been doing for so long. It needs to stop. And I hope they get them. I really do. I hope they get them and they put them in their place, and we can actually get things to change. Now, this next one here kind of goes off of what I was asking about last week, which was, how tall is the firmament?
I think the firmament, pi, and Nikola Tesla's 3693 theory are all connected. This video might blow your mind. So I started looking at pi, and you're basically just measuring a circle. I stared at this image for a couple minutes, and then the Bible verse popped into my head about looking over the circle of the earth. The more I looked into what pi is actually used for, I found out that you can't create a dome or an arch in architecture without pi. So then I started to think, are they measuring the firmament with pi? And then I kept thinking about Nikola Tesla's 369 for some reason. I started plugging different numbers into pi. So I had ChatGPT run 3.3 repeating to find the circumference instead of the 3.14 number. And when you replace pi with 3.33, it converts to 66.6. So in King 723, it says, then he made the sea, I think the sea is the waters above, of cast metal. It was round, 10 cubits from brim to brim and 5 cubits high, and a line of 30 cubits measured its circumference. The biblical value of pi, as derived from 1 King 723 and 2 Chronicles 4:2, appears to be an approximation of 3, but some interpretations suggest it might imply a slightly more precise value, such as 3.3 repeating. The reason for that being that there was never adjustments for the thickness. Here's the math. Keep in mind, this is the quantum computing model, and look at what they call particles, qubits, just like in the Bible. And we can energy harvest with piezoelectric, pi. If you measure the hemisphere with 3.3 repeating instead of pi, it comes out to 999. Keep in mind, this is what a hemisphere looks like. So then I asked it to create an image of a geodesic dome utilizing 3.33 repeating instead of pi, and look at what it gave me. I'm so shook. It has the sacred hexagons built into it, and hexagons are the most powerful energy producers, and it even has like a hexagon grid that it put in there. It also included this, which looks like an ancient astrology map. And look at this, in the top left, it has a little bubble that says Tesla with lines connecting it to the firmament. He was trying to tap into the firmament. This is an ancient astrology map, and it perfectly explains why Polaris is in the middle and all of the stars rotate around it.
So, like I said, that goes on for 7 minutes. But so what? Pi changed with time, right? And Nikola Tesla was trying to tap into the firmament. I mean, I don't know, everybody. I don't know. But if it is something that could be, again, it doesn't tell me how tall it is, but it is very interesting how these things are linked, how they coincide, how they work together. I don't believe in coincidences. I don't. Things happen for a reason. No, you don't always know the reason why things are happening, but they're happening. You know, I don't know why the things happen in my life the way that they happen, but eventually I find out that this is where I'm supposed to be now. And I wasn't supposed to be where I was. And that's what it shows me more than anything. And it's tough at times, and it's hard to deal with. But at the end of the day, you deal with what you were dealt, and you make it work for you, right? But I don't know. I still don't know how big I still don't know how high the firmament is. Damn it. One day I'll get this question answered. I will. All right. So this one's pretty interesting too. This is at TNT John 1717. The reason the government has to call them aliens and not demons.
The reason the government won't tell you that they're demons instead of aliens is because then it goes against everything they've ever said. They cannot admit to you that God exists. They cannot admit to you that Jesus is real. So they have to call things aliens. If they're aliens to you, then they're not from here. It's not as confusing, and it doesn't validate any religion. Aliens don't validate a religion. That's why they're called aliens. Once they call them demons, it validates religion. They cannot validate religion. However, they're demons. Aliens aren't real. It's just a cover-up for demons. Demons live in the ocean. They always have. That's how it works.
They live in the ocean?
Bible. Bye.
Okay, so again, go back to the Bible and demons live in the ocean. Where? Somebody's going to have to point that out to me, because I have never read the Bible and I don't plan on starting, but when do they mention that demons live in the water? But I believe we do a lot of shit in the water. That's why we're so attracted to it, which is probably why it will be the end of us. The oceans will swallow us whole. This guy makes a very good point here. Very, very good point. I love it. I think it's great. So at Nick JFREITAS. This is YouTube. All right. So let's let this rip.
Okay, I know this is going to come off a little bit curmudgeon-y, and I don't mean it that way, honestly. I feel bad for the people I'm referencing here, but does anybody else get the idea that there's a lot of students out there that never once had their expectations managed by their parents? I don't mean lowered, I just mean managed. We told all three of our kids we want you to pursue your dreams. You know what we also told them? You can't eat dreams. So either you need to pick a dream that's economically viable, or you need to pick a career path that will afford you the time and resources to pursue your dreams. And just so we're clear, your dreams are just that, yours. The rest of society is under no cosmic obligation to make them so. So get out there, work hard, learn from your mistakes, enjoy your successes, and just remember, if you go through life with an entitlement complex, you're always going to be miserable no matter what you achieve. If you go through it with a certain degree of gratitude, you'll probably be happy wherever you land.
And that's so true. It's so true. Look, if you think that you are just going to be handed something because that's what you want, man, you got a lot coming. You got a lot of pain coming, a lot of heartache, a lot of being upset, because that's not the way it works. So to be handed something, it doesn't allow you to be you. It doesn't allow you to make it yours. You can have nice things. You can acquire and work hard and earn those things, but never, ever, ever expect somebody to give you something just because it's what you want. That is not how the world works, but he's absolutely right. Find something that would allow you to get to the place you want to be. And once you get there, boom, but you're not going to get there right off the bat. You're going to have to work for it. That's how the world works. Now, let's have some fun. This one here is the real Alex Jones. And I found this to be really funny because, man, I'm telling you. I believe this to be true, man.
How big Michelle Obama truly is, dude. Tell me that's not normal. Oh my God. And they're standing side by side. That is crazy, dude. Tell me that ain't a man. Yo, look how big Michelle Obama truly is, dude.
It's wild, man. It's wild. I'm sorry. That is a giant woman. And I mean, let's just go one step further. Let's put her next to every woman basketball player out there, because those have to be the tallest women, right? What other sports do we have that tall people are necessary? I believe basketball is one of them. I don't know if there's another one. There's pretty big people and tall people on football, but I don't think we have like a women's football, right? But I think if we put her next to women's basketball players, we would have a better judgment of whether or not she is or isn't. Because Kamala is a regular woman, right? In height-wise, anyways. So are there like crazy tall men too? Yes. Can there be crazy tall women? Yes. Is this the case right now? I don't know. But I do believe that basketball players are like the tallest people on the planet. So let's put her in a group of them. And if she towers over them, then I think it's getting closer to the truth. Because I still believe this to be or how about I want to believe? No, I believe this so much that I want it to be true. I really do. I really, really do. It's not like it really matters, but I hate when they're blatantly hiding something in plain sight. I really do. All right, so this one here is done by @BGatesIsAPsycho, Jay-Z, Shakespeare, and Epstein. Now, this is people who, the shapeshifters, the elites, the people that have been around for generations. I don't know if this is comparing them to maybe possibly being vampires or what, but I found this to be extremely, extremely interesting. So they start off with Jay-Z. Now, I think these are old pictures of Jay-Z because, but just watch the video and I'll try to narrate what's going on. So this first picture here, they're showing a close-up of Jay-Z. In the Google search, they put Jay-Z. They show another picture of Jay-Z. They put a Harlem photo of 1939. It looks like Jay-Z. Look at that black and white picture next to each other. Sylvester Stallone. There he is. Painting Pope Gregory. Look at that. It looks like Sylvester Stallone. Anna Hathaway. Anna Hathaway's husband. Look at his husband. Shakespeare. That looks like Hathaway's husband. Who was the name of Shakespeare's wife? Anna Hathaway. I mean, it is absolutely mind-blowing. Could the Epstein looks like $20 bill. Look at it. It looks like the $20 bill. The face lines up. Peter Dinklage. Sebastian De Moore, 1645. They look like the same person. Nicolas Cage. Tennessee Man from 1878. almost look identical. So is it possible that over generations and generations, we just, like, within the lines, right? Maybe these are just their ancestors. Maybe these are their relatives, right? From the past. And maybe, just maybe, the DNA can only change so much. So from X number of years separated, the genes just make a doppelganger, right? So maybe in a way, their facial features have already been done, and today it would just be kind of like a duplicate. Maybe, or the other thing would be they're vampires and they've been on the planet. Well, one of them since 1878, another one since 1863. You know what I mean? So which one do I believe more? Do I believe that DNA repeats itself after a couple decades or something? You wind up looking like your long lost uncle or something from the 1800s. I don't know. It could be possible. I don't think the possibility of those people still being those exact same people. I find that harder to believe. Like, I don't think there's vampires. But they do say the elites drink baby blood to stay young, and they found the secret of youth, right, in that. And it is possible that these sacrifices and these demonic things that they do are causing them to stay young and forever on this planet, without our knowledge. And maybe because of everything that's going on today, it is a possibility that this wool that's been pulled over our eyes is slowly being peeled away, because now there's so much information we can actually do more digging into it. That I find to be more of a theory than DNA just duplicating itself every couple decades. You know what I mean? So I don't know. You question it. You look into it. Check out the links in the description below the video and make your own theories up. But these are mine. And I'm just having fun here. So that's what it's all about. Staying off your addiction, having fun, expanding the mind, and thinking about things in a different way. All right? So, again, I want to say thank you to everybody who subscribes. If you're new, remember to subscribe. If you want to tell your story or be a guest on the podcast, talkinwithtopher@gmail.com is the official email of the podcast. And don't forget about that Linktree link. It's found in the description below the video. And it's the easiest way to find everything TwT. And I hope everybody out there enjoys the rest of their Thursday. I hope you have an amazing rest of your weekend. And as always, I will talk to you later.